David, it's a pleasure to have you on the Parrsitivity podcast again. How you doing?
Thank you, Adam. I'm doing brilliantly. Thanks. Yeah, really good. How are you? You good?
Good, good, good. Yeah, well, good, sir. It's always good to connect with you. Because last time I was on your show, and then
Yeah,
this time you're on mine again, and I
yeah.
thought it'd be good to have you back on because it's been a while since we connected, and
Mm,
there's a couple of things we were just talking about that we're gonna get into, and did you
yes.
want to kind of like start it off with what you got in mind and the projects that you're doing at the minute?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can
Thanks.
share your screen, by the way, as well to show.
Okay. Yeah. I'm very keen with to help people who are out there who need that help every single day. So with their confidence or self-esteem, and the people who maybe they've got a coach or a therapist or counselor, or they don't, or they want to keep everything private. So I developed a private community to help people, like tapas, a little bit every day to help you. So I'm a really big believer in the 1% rule. So if you improve 1% every day, then what's going to happen after 100 days? What's going to happen after 365? So with that 1% rule, if we can improve ourselves every single day, you're going to get great results. So I built a platform called Hasina. So I'm really, really excited about that. And it's a private members platform that's, I'm really excited about to help people.
No, it's awesome what you've developed and the work you do, and helping other people. And would you be able to share your screen to show briefly, like what
Yeah,
it is and where
yeah,
people
yeah,
can?
sure, sure.
Because there's a charge, isn't there? Like a monthly charge that people pay, and they can have an app. There's an app for it as well. You said.
Yeah, yeah, there's an app for it. So people can use it on the go on their phone. And yeah, I'll show my screen. And most people can have a look inside. Yeah, so this is the Hasina app. So there's the menu on the left-hand side. It's got the daily news and reminders. So that's where I typically post something every single day to get members to think differently. So that's today's video. That's yesterday's video where I hadn't shaved. And then we've got a resource I put up on Sunday called the Sunday Resource. So every single day there's a theme going on. So if you can imagine, Adam, we've got Mindset Monday, Tuesday tips, Wednesday wisdom, all the way to the weekend. We've got the Sunday resource, Saturday reset, what I call Super Saturday. And also, there are challenges every month. So last week there was a challenge, the monthly challenge, which was called the Wellness Challenge. So it's Monday to Friday. So all members get to experience that if they want to, where I ask them to do a simple task every single day for that particular week, and members just love it. You can see they comment on there. So that's the first thing, where members get activity every single day, where I go on there and I share a challenge with them, or I share information on them, so a reminder, a question, and they love it. They absolutely love it. So that's the first part. The second part is my courses. I've got a number of courses on here at the moment. You can see in the yellow dots. So I've got the Introduction to Let It Go, Overcoming Imposter Syndrome, Overcoming Anxiety, and Press Pause to Play Pro. So my courses are on there, so people can do the courses. Got handy tips on the go. So if somebody wanted to see access tips, there's going to be about 50 videos on here at the moment. I've uploaded 6 or 7, I think. There's loads more coming on different things like being ghosted, rejection, people pleasing, plenty of stuff on there. And then all my meditations are on here. So if you can imagine a platform where you get all this content that you can consume on your laptop or your phone. So I put it all in one place, and it's private. It's a private gated community. So for people who want to help themselves. So I've recorded these meditations. I'm really excited because people have asked me, can you record meditations? I said, yeah, of course, we can do that. So yes, we've got quite a bit going on here. But the great thing is it's a safe space for people to join, and to learn tools and techniques, and to become a better version of themselves, to become more confident. So many people are saying how much it's helping them think. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited because it's the portability of it. And if somebody out there is, for example, they don't want to see a professional that can't afford to, this is really affordable, really affordable. It's only a £30 a month, and there's no tie-in. I wanted to make it so accessible. Can you imagine that when you were in your teenage years, or for example, when I was in my 20s, I wanted something to help. I wanted something, but I didn't want to see a counselor. I didn't want to tell anybody that I was in a bit of pain. This would have been ideal for me to do the meditations or courses. I could have done it on my own time. So that's why I'm really excited, because I don't think there's anything like out there like it. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
no,
know, but I don't think
yeah,
there is.
no, I haven't seen anything like it, and I think it's great with what you're doing. You're helping other people, and I think also with that content, it's easily accessible. You can have it on your phone or your laptop, and you can pick it up if you're busy in your job. You can just pick it up and listen to some of your courses, or the audio book of your book on there, or some of the interviews, and go through the programs. And I think the good thing is as well, you're being consistent and putting up content every day, so people are constantly going to be engaged in the materials as well, and it kind of has that kind of accountability to it, doesn't it? And like you said, some people might not want to go and see if there's a therapist in person, or might not be ready to speak to someone as of yet, so they can kind of get engaged with the content you're putting out there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Somebody on there recently posted that, but he privately messaged me to say that one of the videos helped him with his social anxiety. He said, I always felt a bit uncomfortable going out with friends, it being in a group situation. So there's a video on there just for that. So that was great feedback. When you just get this feedback from people, because sometimes we don't even know, because we got so used to our problem, it becomes, we think it's just us. So it's something that I love getting feedback and hearing about good stories.
Yeah, and it's good to have that feedback, and them engaging with the content and seeing that it's helping them as well, and that's
Mm.
that's rewarding. And also, like, you've got other people on there, members, so people are part of the community, and they might be networking with those people in that group and community as well. Like you said, some people might lack confidence and might not like going out or not used to it. So like you said, people feel like they're the only person, but then they can see other content on the topics, and that helps as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The most important thing is that they feel safe, and because it's a private community, they get access to a lot of content. And I get guests on there. I've had you on there, obviously. I get experts in different. We had an expert on gut and nutrition recently, which is fascinating. So that members get wellness help topics, because it's all interrelated, the mind and body connection. So it's only just started 2 months ago. I'm super, super excited because I love it personally. I love delivering the content, and I know it's bespoke to them. So I go on there every day and I post something just for them. It's exclusive to them. I don't put that same content, say, on Instagram or anything like that. It's for them. And I'm running courses. So in about 2 weeks' time, I'm starting the self-love course, which is, for me, the foundation for confidence. So it's going to be a 6-week course, which members get access to for free. So, it's part of the membership, which I think is for them. They can watch it, and if they miss one of the sessions, the recording goes up there. So I am excited. It's a different sort of platform, and it's a living, breathing platform. Rather than me put my content on, then say goodbye, I'm actually on there every day, answering any questions, or I do polls on there. What do you want? I can put 7 different topics, say, on burnout, anxiety, self-confidence, and they just choose. And then I can do a workshop on it a couple of weeks later. So it's very interactive, which is great. It's all about community.
No, it's awesome. And I think, like you said, it's great. There's, important topics on there that, sometimes aren't spoken about, or, people can access, those key things that they, possibly can relate to as well.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Because we've all got something going on in life,
Yeah.
um, and different challenges. So it is, for me, the 1% rule. If you can just do 1% improvement every day, that's going to help you. That's why I'm on there to coach them to that
Mm.
1%. So I might ask the question like, okay, what's one thing? It might be a Sunday night question. I'll post on there. What's one thing that you want to achieve by next Friday on your target? So it gets them thinking up there, right? Okay, and it gets them motivated. So sometimes you just need somebody to wake you up. You know what it's like on Sunday. Sunday, people have Sunday insomnia, isn't it? We always have this thing about Sundays going back to work, or in the days of going back to school. So it's really getting that mindset to shift to achieving our goals. It can be as simple as that, to make your life a little bit easier.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's like you said, it's that compound effect, isn't it? That 1% over time, and doing things that might be different out of your comfort zone, and gradually getting used to doing that, and that builds over time, rather than expecting results, within a week, which realistically doesn't, really happen.
Yeah, it's all about building habits. So, I might post something on there about uh, the three the three elements of happiness. So there's a book I read some time ago by Sonia Lyubomirsky, and she was describing the three elements of happiness. So I will just share that. The first element being the genetic, second element, the toys, our job, car, money, and the third element being the most important element, 40% of it, is choice and activity, what we choose to do every day, our habits. So for me, breaking our habits is a good thing if we need to, in order to create new habits. But we have to decide, make that choice. So Lyubomirsky was saying that we need to break the habit. So in the Hasina platform, it's all about you ripping up your own manual. So if you're not getting that relationship that or you're not attracting the right person, or you're not attracting the right career move or money, it is all on you. It's generally all on us, who we're being. So in order for us to change our life, we have to be someone different. So that's what it's all about. Let's become someone different. I mean, if I look at myself from 20 years ago, I'm a totally different person. If I wasn't, there'd be something wrong. Well, if you look at yourself 10 years ago, how much of a different person are you?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, it comes down to choices, like habits, um, you know, and things like that in your environment. And I think, when you think about, say, like 10 years, yeah, like I'm trying to think what I was doing when I was 20. Um, I think I was working in a hotel or clothes shop, I think, if I think back to when I was 20. And I think I didn't
Mm,
really, I wouldn't have thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I didn't really know what I wanted to really do. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I was thinking too much about the future, really.
mm,
I think I was working in a restaurant. Yeah. So but you have to, take a step back, and you have a choice really what you want to do. And sometimes I find people go back to what they're used to, what's familiar, what's safe, and things like that. But you ultimately do have a choice with, what's happening in your life. That's what it kind of comes down to. It's whether I find you can, because some people have a lot of things going on around them, and probably making the wrong choices because the things they're around or the people they're around. But you've got to find a place to make a choice to get away from,
mm,
the shit, and realize there's shit
mm,
going on, so you can make the right choice. So,
mm,
that's from what I've seen working with, you know, the clients I've worked with. They've got a lot of things going on around them, but they can't see what's going on around them, if that makes sense. But
mm.
you've got to kind of display the facts for them to make a choice. But like you said, it comes down choices at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always interesting to know, what drives choices, and
Mm,
my opinion is our emotions drive our choices. If we feel good, we'll more likely make better choices. If we're feeling like shit, then we're just going to take the easy route out. So I'm always looking at what are the emotions that drive people. So in order to look at the emotions, they're often related to the past because our body contains emotions, isn't it? If somebody embarrasses you, you feel it somewhere. If somebody hurts you, you feel it somewhere. So our emotions are already locked in, and they are definitely it's almost like an echo of the past. So we have to sometimes decide to do something different. I mean, last summer, if I could share with you, well, my mum passed last summer, and
mm,
so my emotions were very, very chaotic. But 2 months after she passed, I had this sudden mindset shift, Adam, which was that it was very weird what mindset it was. I'm free, and I felt guilty for a few minutes, thinking I'm free. Why do I feel free? It's because I was the primary carer for her when she was unwell, and she had Alzheimer's, which is, I don't know if you've ever known anybody with Alzheimer's, but it's one of the most uh, challenging conditions to see a loved one experience because it affects everyone around you. So my emotions were different over the last couple of years with mum. And then after that, it changed. It completely changed. I felt free. And after that, I started getting back into work and taking more risks and challenges, testing myself, to the point where I started developing projects. And the Hasina project was named after my mum. Her name was Hasina, and that means beautiful. But also the main thing was she had a mindset which was so strong. You know, she was an extremely powerful woman in terms of her mindset. So I just thought it was ideal, and hence the app and the platform was born from that. Thinking, right, I want to help men and women out there, from teenagers all the way up to seniors who want to help themselves, who want that extra confidence, that extra, I can do it, I can do anything, but I need to be part of a community. I need that constant help, and it's on there every day. It's continuous, and they can just dip in or dip out. So that's exciting for me because I know my mindset has changed in the last year or two. Because when sometimes you just don't know what you're going through. You're in it, but when you come out of it, you suddenly think, oh my God, I went through a lot there. You don't realize it until it's happened and it's over, and then you realize you've changed. Because sometimes our pain becomes our message to the world, what we want to share to the world. That's that's so important. We've all got a journey that we're going through.
yeah, no, exactly. And I appreciate you sharing that. And I think, like, with you, it's nice you've named it after your mother as well. And I think from what you were saying, with that condition, it's quite slow, isn't it? And it's over time. And, you put your things on the back burner for the time being, and you was looking after your mum, and then you needed a bit of time to kind of move through that. And I think you have to do that. I imagine in that scenario to focus on helping them because it's also about them, isn't it? At that time, but then also just looking after yourself as well, and not burning yourself out by working too much, and then looking after them as well, and then picking up when the time's right.
Mm.
But I think it is nice. You named after your mum, and you said she was very switched on, and had a really strong mindset. And I think you've taken on board a lot of the strengths that she had, and you're putting them into the work that you do to help other people. And I think that's kind of what it's about, in life, or at least should be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's you learn a lot about yourself during adversity. When the shit hits the fan, It doesn't feel nice. But after that, it's what you learn, the learnings and the lessons you get are amazing. I find personal growth, personal development is all about personal growth, isn't it? And I love people who listen to podcasts like this, read books, watch YouTube videos, learn. Because if you're not learning, you're, as far as I'm concerned, at very best, you're plateauing, or going down. So it's all about learning the lessons of life. And I think since COVID, in the last 4 years, I've learned a lot about myself and about human nature. And it's been an incredible ride, and it's still a ride. It's like riding a wave on a surfboard. Not that I've ever been on a surfboard, but I can imagine it's like a hazard wave. You just got to stay on that board, and that is what I personally love helping people do, because life is that wave.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, it's like triumph over adversity, isn't it? From what you're saying, it's hearing we learn. We never stop learning, but we have a choice of what we want to learn and pay attention to. And I think um, it's when people are going through the motions, or if shit hits the fan, and people are in really hard situations. Sometimes it gives people that push to then do something. I found myself in some situations in the past that haven't been nice, but it's in those situations that had forced me to then do something. And maybe if I wasn't in that situation or going through that stuff, I might not have, do you know what I mean, made decisions to then
Mm,
push forward into something. It's almost like it gives you that momentum or driving force sometimes to push and do something. It's not the case of all people, but sometimes that's what happens. And
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
good things can come from that, shit, so to speak. And it
Mm,
gives you that resilience, I find sometimes in the long run, because it's like if you've been through something, then if something else happens,
mm,
you can think, well, it's not as bad as what happened in XYZ scenario. I've dealt
mm,
with that. It might be a bit difficult, but it's not, do you know what I mean, quite XYZ situation, or what I've been through. So I think that's always, a positive in the long run. But when you're going through stuff, you don't see it as a positive when you're going through the motions.
mm.
Um, I was trying to think what else I was going to say. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm
It
at.
builds your character. This gives you character, and the growth that you have in life. Especially if you have children, you can teach them. People learn. We all learn from everyone else, and there's no one we can't learn from. I always look at everybody I meet, everybody I've ever known, I've learned something from. And I just think that when we have an attitude of being a student, because we're always learning, it's just the most amazing thing. If you look at the most famous investor in the world, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is worth hundreds of millions, but his company is worth billions, but he's the eternal learner. He spends 4 to 5 hours a day reading, learning. The guy's, I don't know how old is he now, in his 90s, but
He must be late 80s or 90s, surely.
yeah,
He's definitely up there in that.
he's interested in what makes the world tick, that he knows his fingers on the pulse and he knows where to invest. He looks at investing as a value, not a bet. Not looking just to bet his money. He's looking at where can I put my money in terms of value. And I find that fascinating. People like that, their mindset. You can learn just so much from everyone. I think we were talking before we started this interview about I watched an interview with Simon Cowell recently. He was talking about the lessons of life.
Mm,
And his main lesson of life, one thing I learned from his interview was he do what you love in life and do as much as you can of what you love. So if it's painting, do that. If it's, plumbing, do that. If it's playing the guitar, do more of that. Just do something that makes you feel alive every day. There's nothing worse than getting to an end of the week, Adam, and looking at the week thinking I've done nothing this week, or it's been the same old. That's when I hear somebody say "same old," I feel really sorry for them when I hear that, because we've got to do something every day to make our hearts sing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like sometimes life can be like that. And I think sometimes, we have to get out of our own way. And I think like sometimes we can stagnate or we can be doing the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like if I think people, like I said, do what you love at the end of the day, regardless of what, whatever that is. If you
Mm,
there's some people who love to be, carpenters, they make things, you know what I mean? And people who love to be, taxi drivers or whatever, they might be, do you know what I mean? Like I've worked with, hospitality previously and I loved connecting with customers,
mm,
different people,
mm,
but I had to recognize, because I liked giving them the experience, having a good time, having a
mm,
meal, being generous to them. There might be someone's anniversary. You're
mm,
providing a service and experience,
mm,
and I love that. But I had to recognize when the time was right to change. Do you know what I mean? And I think some
mm,
people they don't act on that because they're feared of changing or they're feared of a new situation or going out of their comfort zone. And I had to face
mm,
all that to change and stuff. But like you said, you've got to find what you love, even if you're doing something you enjoy, that you can mold. It's okay to mold and change that and jump into other things, I think. But yeah, ultimately, people, they need to find what they love by ultimately trying. And I think sometimes people are afraid of trying because they don't want to fail. But then through failing and making mistakes is how we learn and grow. So it kind of, do you know what I mean? It
mm.
comes full circle. And I always think that's important as well. But yeah, because if you don't try things, you don't know. And I think like what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah, yeah. That's very true. I think that a lot of people though are afraid to try, or should we say, um, afraid to fail, because they look at failure as a mark on their character or personality. When really, you know, we've failed many times in life. It happens. It's just an aspect of life. No, don't take it personally. If just get back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. It always that's what life's about, because compared to 100 years ago, we live a life of luxury. By and large, we've got nice cars. We can go to a nice cafe, have nice food. We've got a lot going for us. But people are always comparing their life to others, looking at other people's say social media and wondering why aren't they going to Italy or Dubai when really you can if you want to. You just got to make that a goal rather than just look and feel depressed at your life. Make a change. I remember when I was in my 30s, I was an optometrist at the time. I remember testing somebody's eyes, and um, he said, "Oh, I can't change my life, David. I'm 35. I'm old." I remember thinking, 35? What do you mean you're old? This person said, "Well, I hate my job." I remember I was just testing their eyes, and they were telling me their life story. That's why I became a coach in the end, because I thought, well, people are always telling me their life story. So he was saying that he's in a job working in the bank, and he wanted to leave. And I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, I want to be an architect. I'm too old for that now. I said, well, is there anything you can do if you train to be an architect? It does take a long time. I think about 8 years. But is there anything could you get into the architectural world? You work for a company. Yeah, but it means I have to maybe do a diploma so I can work in that company, or I've got to go for interviews. So a lot of people are not willing to do that. They're not willing to make that change, even though that change could lead to a complete career change. If you want to do medicine, it's going to take you 5 years, an extra year, 6 years on top of that. You can do it. You can start it at the age of 30. You're a doctor by the time you're 36, 37, but it's taken a few years. But you've just got to rip up the rule book. You've just got to make a change, but be brave. But some people won't do that because they look at it as a lifestyle change. I don't want to lose my holidays. I don't want to, I don't want to go back to university, go to university. So it all depends on how much you want something. I think you can have whatever you want within reason. But sometimes it's going to take time to get there, to achieve that. But it's how much do I want it, and that's, or shall I say, how hungry are you? How hungry are you to sit at the top table, to be there? I think that's really important because you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, what a amazing life story he's had about wanted to come to America, wanted to become Mr. Universe, the best bodybuilder in the world, wanted to become a movie star. He never said, I want to become the greatest actor in the world. I want to be a movie star. So then he knew he had to speak English or learn English better and read and write it. So he did all the little goals on the way to becoming a movie star because he decided, I'm going to do whatever it takes. We're just going to do whatever it takes, really. That's why, going back to that 1% rule, if you've got no confidence, if you improved your confidence by 1% a day, in 300 days, in less than a year, you'll have a 300% change in confidence. I think most people would take that, don't you?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think like if you apply yourself to something over time, you do get more confident at it, and I think
Mm,
sometimes, like you said, I'm fascinated with people and how they, how they think and what they do and why. And you mentioned Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I think he's a good role model. To see the things he's been through and where he's at now and what he's done. And I particularly like Sylvester Stallone, and he's got a similar story. And
mm,
he was kind of
mm.
on par, competing
Yes,
with Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff. And I think
yes.
you know like you said, life's a journey and it's a process. And I think people sometimes kind of get stuck in their head because you was talking about
Mm,
that guy you was talking to when you was doing optometry, if that's the right
mm,
way of saying it.
mm,
And sometimes we make excuses as to why we can't do something for whatever reason. I think like whether that's people's belief systems or things haven't worked out in the past. Um, Maybe family members might have said certain things to them or school or teachers, I don't know. But people I find will make excuses and make things more complicated than what they should
mm,
be. And
mm,
like you said, there's those stepping stones. That person wanted to go into what was it again? The building side. What the guy wanted.
Architecture,
Architecture, yeah, being an
architect.
architect, and that takes time, but you can get there if you want to follow the right steps.
Yeah.
And being people are young in their 50s, you know what I mean? Like it's just a number,
Mm,
really. If you want something, you can go and get it, but if you want it bad enough. And I remember I've done applications for jobs, and
mm,
you look at the job, and there's about 10 pages, and
mm,
there's an empty box that you've got to fill, and it says a minimum
mm,
2,000 words, and you look at it, and you're like, oh, I've got to do
mm,
that. And do you know what I mean? You feel this inner dread
mm,
because it's just an empty box that you've got to fill. But if you want it bad enough, you'll fill the box as best you can with, do you know what I mean, a portfolio or whatever,
mm,
and you'll make it happen. And I think you've just got to,
mm,
like you said, push through that and look further ahead and think, well, this might be a job, this might be an academic opportunity or business meeting. I think you have to kind of think 10 steps ahead at that level, don't you? If you keep looking at, oh, well, I've got to apply for this, I've got to do this, then you've got to push through those weeds, I think, to think further afield.
mm. Absolutely. You've got to look at life as a chance. When we look at life, it's we're born and then at the end we die. But in between, we have a chance. And it annoys me when people say, I'll start it on Monday, or I'll do it one day. I'll do it when I'm ready. And then they complain that the year went by and it's New Year's Eve again, or this year I'm going to do it. This year I'm going to, these are my New Year's resolutions. But New Year's resolutions are just fantasy. It's actually, are you setting the goal up? Are you prepared to do the work and learn the violin? Are you prepared to save the money and work out a route that you want to do on your South American trip? What are you prepared to do? So a lot of people are dreamers, which is nice. It makes you feel good for the moment, and I love people feeling good. But in life, you want to look back at your life without regrets, without much regrets. We all have regrets, but you want to look back thinking, right, I I've lived. I've lived. I didn't just say I wanted to go around the Southeast Asia. I went to Vietnam and Malaysia and Singapore. I really enjoyed myself. I met some brilliant people. So for me, life is about experiences. It's not about your next bottle of aftershave or your next bar of chocolate. Oh, I love chocolate. It's about experience. So having that experience, and it's invaluable, because one day, we can tell children, grandchildren about the experience we had. And I love eating out and dining out. I love, I'm always talking to the people in the restaurants and serving us. And I love that, because they're not just people. They're not just servers in restaurants. They're real people with, who are there working hard so that we have a good time. So I always enjoy that experience, when you're having a nice dessert in a cafe. Somebody's made that. Somebody might have made that, and you just got to appreciate the skill that went into it. So I always think that living in the moment, being grateful, and really savoring the moment, savoring the moment, instead of thinking of what I don't have this, or I need a better car, or I want a better kitchen or a new kitchen. Just look at what you've got and the magic moments. Every day there are many magic moments, but I don't think a lot of people think that. They think of what went wrong in their day, or that conversation they had in work this morning with a client, or the customer was rude to them, and they just talk about it all day long, and then they go to bed with misery in their head. But I'm just thinking, think of 5 wins that you've had that day. 5 wins, which you heard a nice song on the radio, you had a nice piece of toast, you shared a joke with a friend, somebody texts you out of the blue. 5 wins. If you can do that, your subconscious mind just continues to pick up good vibes about life. That life is not as difficult or challenging as you think it is. So, as Tony Robbins says, where focus goes, energy flows. Focus on what's been good about the day. Everyone has a bad day. We all have bad days. But as T. Harv Eker says, tomorrow I can always make a comeback. I will make a comeback. And that's, I believe, we all have a choice. Like yesterday, I had an average, mediocre day personally. But hey, the weather was grey outside. Get on with it. And then today I woke up totally different. So we all have good days and bad days, and that's just being human. But it's getting back up is the bit that I love how people do, and get back up, because you can have 27 good days and 3 not so good days in a month. Okay, keep moving forward. Don't let those 3 good days spoil the next month. I think that's, for me, one of my lessons I've learned in life is try not to have 2 consecutive bad days. Just get back up, bounce back up, go for a walk, go into nature, walk barefoot if you can, spend time with the people you love, go and watch a movie in the cinema, do something that you haven't done in ages. I remember a client recently saying, she felt her life was just mediocre. I said, well, what haven't you done for some time? The horse riding. I haven't done that for 2 years. What's stopping you? Oh, I've got 2 kids. I've got 2 kids. All right, but have you saying in that amount of time you've never had a couple of hours spare? Well, now that you put it like that, and then she went horse riding and absolutely loved that weekend, because it's experience. If she realized that she's not just a mum, not just a wife, not just a daughter, her name is Sam. That's all I can tell you. But Sam, felt alive, felt alive.
No, I love that, and I think, like you said, it's getting out of the the same space, I think, that we're in. Sometimes it's important to do something different, something out
Mm,
of the ordinary,
mm,
and you feel the difference by doing that, by having an experience, by getting out and whatever that is, whether that's horse riding or if that's going for a walk or meeting somebody or having a drive somewhere different, maybe go for a drive in a different way of getting home. Do you know what I mean? Like even if it's like a small thing like that. And like it's good that your client did that and noticed the benefit.
mm,
And
mm,
I noticed that, like when I went out the other weekend, well, other Friday with my girlfriend's stepdad and her stepbrother, we had a couple of drinks in Falmouth, do you know what I mean?
mm,
And
mm,
stuff. And I don't always have the opportunity of doing that. So,
mm,
even like a small thing like that, it's still quite a big thing because you get to know people and you can have a conversation with them. And, it's whatever resonates with the person, I think. But like you said, it's important to get out and do different things and to have experiences. And you said, you like going out and about restaurants and talking to the staff. And I find that, and
mm,
I'm like that as well. I
mm,
used to work in that industry, so I know what it's like.
mm,
And people are
mm,
sometimes a bit over apologetic, and I'm like, look, I understand what it's like. Don't worry. And I think it's good
mm,
to engage with different culture. Go to experience different cultures. Um, Me and my girlfriend went away, to Spain, and like it's a different culture, and going to places, and I think we went to like a pizza place, and it was a lot more cheaper than what it is over here in the UK,
mm,
and it was a family-run business, and you could
mm,
see the passion, you could see they cared.
mm,
The owner was standing by the door, giving you like a nod, seeing as it opens
mm.
okay. There's only a handful of people. We went twice, and they gave us like a canvas bag with
Oh,
their logo on. Do you know what I mean? So,
beautiful.
and you look at that, and you remember the experience you had. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mm,
but if and that trip, was pretty inexpensive when you break it down. But sometimes I think
mm,
people fear spending money, or their beliefs are, money is going to run out, or do you know what I
mm,
mean? People have different
mm,
priorities, but you have to sometimes do those things, like you said, because you want to share memories, you want to have conversations about stuff, and say you have kids or grandkids or whatever, you can what I mean, you can talk about experiences, you can tell them to go to XYZ place and to do this. Um, it's important to like live. You've got to have certain things you do in life within reason. I think it's a balance. Do you know what I mean? Save up money
mm,
and look forward to something and do it. Um,
mm,
but I think that just comes probably with life. Once you've done it, because I remember I never really traveled too much. You do it once, you're like, oh, I've
mm,
done that.
mm,
Um, that anxiety, that feeling of anxiety for me never goes away when I go to the airport because something always seems to happen.
mm,
but but yeah, life's like a roller coaster, isn't it? Like you said, you got to ride the wave. And I was watching that film. I'm going off topic here. I was watching a film, Parenthood, from the
mm.
'80s.
Oh, I love that. Steve Martin.
Yeah,
Mm,
that film. And there's a
classic.
scene with the grandmother, and the
Mm,
grandmother's saying, "People sometimes just go on the teacups and they spin around." She says, "I like the roller coasters."
mm,
Do you know what I mean? And I think
mm,
people make those
mm,
choices in life. They'll just go on the easy coast. They'll just go around, or you're gonna
mm,
go on the roller coaster. Do you know what I mean? Experience life a bit
mm,
more.
mm. Life's an adventure. And I've always loved that, thinking about life's an adventure. Um, I prefer it that way. I prefer to, like, for example, I don't have a pension, not interested in having a pension. I've got other things in place, but it's definitely more risque, but it's so much more of an adventure that I always think, and talking back to what you just said, people worry about money and going out, stuff like that, you know. At the end of the day, it's all about your self-worth, your self-esteem. Make it work. Make it work so you can go for that trip to Australia. Make it work so that you can buy that piano because you want to. You can make it work. You hear people say they're broke, but then the same people, you hear that they're having a bottle of wine every night. So what is it? What is it? So there's nothing wrong with having a bottle of wine, but you're just going to think about priorities and valuing yourself and your energy, your time. Something that I teach my clients is the power of being ruthless. I remember I taught this years ago for the first time, and one of my clients said, "Ruthless, that's a bit of a harsh word, David." I said, "Well, it's not actually. Ruthless with two things: your time and your energy. You'll never get them back. You can replenish your energy, but the energy you will have lost and time is gone." So I'm really a big believer in guard your time, guard your energy. So I can have power naps in the middle of the day. I'm lucky. I don't work for anybody. I work for myself. So I own the company. So, I factor in, 10 or 15 minutes here or a meditation for 20 minutes. I really believe in meditation, for example. Never always did because I understood that meditation was you stop thinking. Your mind's supposed to go calm, but not necessarily. Meditation is very, very good for your physiology. It's been proven to really help the body heal, lower your blood pressure, put you in a better mood. It's just a brilliant way of resetting your mindset. I totally believe in it. That's why it's on Hasina. So I recorded 12 for that, because truthfully, the science has all proven what meditation does to your brain. It takes it from an exceedingly high anxious gear or stress gear and puts you into a gorgeous neutral stance where you're starting again. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you're neutral. You're not happy, you're not sad, you're neutral. And you want to get into that sometimes. So I'd like to think I practice what I preach. It's taken some time. That's why, I love teaching it, because every time I teach it, I remind myself of the power of visualization, for example, the power of meditation, the power of self-talk. So when I go running, I try and run probably about 25 Ks a week, 5 Ks, 5 days. And when I'm running, I'm affirmations. I am strong. I'm powerful. I'm happy. I'm saying it to myself. I'd rather say that to myself than feel and say I'm not good enough, or what if I fail? You've got a choice, isn't it, in life? So I'd rather be kind to myself. There's so many people, Adam, wouldn't talk to their dog the way they talk to themselves. I'm a big believer in self-talk. What's your views on self-talk?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, self-talk's important. And, like it might be whether it's people sometimes experience it with exercise, trying things, or, I think you've got to have that positive voice, if that's the right way of saying it, in your head. And your the things you say to yourself, or, the way you think, it has to align and it makes your life easier if it's positive, because
Yeah,
you reaffirm to yourself, oh, you might be doing something new, and your that voice in your head might go, you can do this, or you got this, or you can see this through, or I'm good at this. And it's those messages you say to yourself. If you say, I'm not very good at this, or I can't do this, it might sway you from taking action on actually doing something. But I think sometimes if you can catch it, I think you can change it. And I think, meditating is a good way, of, like you said, you can plant those seeds through meditating. You can meditate and give yourself those positive messages, and you can get in the habit of doing that. Um, I personally don't have that much time to do that, but when I have done it, I've felt benefits from doing it. But I
yeah,
think it's important. But if you
yeah,
do notice negative thoughts, you have to kind of catch it and reaffirm it. Do you know what I mean? In a positive.
yeah. Everybody can be negative at times. We all can. I can. It's, as you say, catch it and change it. And I think a valuable a valuable skill to learn is to catch it and then decide, right, enough is enough. You literally have to catch yourself being negative. Enough is enough. and I'll say to myself, enough. I'll say that. Right. Okay. Change this. And how do you become aware of those negative thoughts? Well, the fastest way to do that is to catch the feeling, because thoughts always lead to feelings. If you're thinking angry thoughts, you're going to feel angry soon. If you're thinking, I hate that guy, you're going to feel it very soon. So as soon as you feel something. So my advice to anyone out there is look for how you're feeling at all times. Okay. Look for how you're feeling. It's continuous work in progress. You get good at it then. You do get good at it. And as soon as you get good at catching those feelings, changing those thoughts, you shift. You can shift. And as I said, if you do that 1% a day, you will change by 100% in 100 days. You will, because the brain is neuroplastic. It's built to change by repetition. That's why when you learn to swim, it's repetition, repetition. And then one day you could swim. You don't think about it anymore. Same with driving. You don't think about driving anymore because you've done it by repetition. So that's the same thing, but you just got to catch yourself. And the fastest way is feeling. Catch that feeling, change the thought, repeat that, repeat. And one day you won't be thinking like that anymore. You won't be thinking anymore. You might be a person out there who's, listen to this, who's easily embarrassed. Why are you easily embarrassed? Or it's something from your past. So then you catch that feeling, change it. Because I'm a big believer that every one of us, we're all the same. It's how we think is differently. So change that. Everyone is born with a talent, a gift. We're all born with gifts. But it's whether we decide to follow that gift. The first thing is get that block out the way, that mental block that you've got, and bury it, destroy it, get rid of it, delete it, whatever it is. But it has to be done purposefully. You can't ignore it. So if somebody wants to build a business, but they don't like networking or socializing, find out why. If that's the difference between you being successful and not successful, that bridge that you failed to cross, you're too afraid to go to a networking event in a hotel because you fear somebody might judge you, or you fear you'll be all alone, or no one's going to like you there. Then that's your fear. Own it. Do something about it. And that's what I always say. In order for us to cross that bridge, we have to face our fears. There is no magic bullet. We have to face our fears because our fears come from somewhere, and it's the past. Something happened to us in the past, and those 3 magic words: let it go. You have to learn to let it go. You can't just say it doesn't exist. It does, but you have to learn to let it go. It's like when I was starting off my speaking career, 2007, 8. I didn't want to speak. I was scared. I was scared shitless, but I just did it. I did it, and then you just get used to it. And then I decided I've got a message I want to share with people. I want to help people. My message is going to get me on the stage in front of people, and I will talk to help them. I've done my bit. So that's how you do something in life, isn't it? You have to get over yourself. We have to get over ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I think it's so true. Like you said, sometimes, thoughts, will then go to feelings, and those feelings will then sometimes, turn to actions. And, when you're talking about that, I was thinking about when I'm driving sometimes, and, my girlfriend's notice if she's a passenger, sometimes some person out there might know me driving or something like that, or someone crossing the road might not be thinking, and I pick it up and I'm like, oh, look at this, whatever.
Yeah.
But I've picked that up, I think, by being in the car with my uncle or my granddad. My uncle's a builder. Do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
He's very
Yeah.
like black and white, and he'll say, "Look at this,"
Yeah.
whatever. And I think I've probably looked up to him and gone, "Yeah, I'll be like that when I'm driving." So my girlfriend will notice it. So my feelings, my thoughts will change. I'll be like negative, and then might say something negative
Yeah.
in regards to the drive or whatever. My girlfriend will say, she'll notice it, and be like, "Hey, don't stop turning into your uncle," or something like that. And then I'll
Yeah,
laugh, and then I'll notice it, and then my emotional state changes. Do you know?
yeah,
That
yeah,
that's just what came to my mind. So yeah, it's noticing that inner dialogue of what's
mm,
going on, and sometimes other people can help you notice that,
yeah,
even if it's in a silly scenario like that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, you got to change that. You got to notice it, as you said, and I think like it's great. Like you said, you feared doing certain things, and you just had to go to networking events and get on stage. But once you, like you say, you reflect back on those things, you think, well, what was I worrying about?
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
imagine.
absolutely, yeah, and it's true. I mean, we've only got one life. We can't look back and say, "Oh, I wish I'd met more people. I wish I'd stood up for myself. I wish I had not allowed myself to be bullied." We have to take action, purposeful action. It's not taking, um, not doing anything is action. You've decided not to do anything. You know, not deciding to drive a car, learn to drive, is not taking action. You got to own it. So one of the things I've learned, another thing I've learned a life lesson is you've got to own. You've got to own who you are as a person, and you've got to accept when people say nice things about you. If they don't, learn from it, but always understand that something is going on in somebody else's life. So, for example, if somebody's cutting you up on the road and you want to, show the two fingers up there and all that, we don't know, is that person rushing to a loved one's bedside? We don't know. We don't know, is his wife pregnant? We just don't know. But what we know is what they've perceivably done to us, cut us up, disrespected us. It's our ego then is bruised, and then it's all about us. But we don't know. So I'm a big believer on you never know what's going on behind somebody's eyes. You could be in a bar, somebody's serving you a drink, you think they're rude to you. We don't know if he's just found out his father's got cancer and he's angry at the world. We don't know. So I always try and listen to my gut and not to react. You know, I don't know if you read my book. In my book, there's that chapter about react, how we react in different situations, and just to pull back and not instantly judge someone because we don't know. We just don't know. But everyone on this planet is judging everyone else. We know that. But it's if we judge them and it makes us angry or resentful, we're the loser. We're the one who's poisoning ourselves because we've decided to get angry or we've decided to get resentful and hate that person. That person doesn't even know us half the time. So we've got to think about, as I said, watch your feelings, because those feelings will give away your thoughts, and then work on that. Work on it. Watch a video, podcast, get a coach, therapist, come on Hasina, do something to improve your thoughts and feelings. So if you can do that, your life will change. Your life will absolutely change, because when your thoughts and feelings change, you become a different person. You start taking risks. You start going after your dreams. You get the girl of your dreams or whatever. Your job changes. You attract more opportunities. It's all because you changed. If we don't change, the world outside us won't change. 100% it won't change. So I'm a huge believer on that. That's why
Mm.
we do this podcast, so we can help people.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree, and I think like you've got to change for other things to change, like you said, and it might be just jumping on a treadmill and just
Mm,
starting that once a
mm,
week, and that's you saying that. It just reminded me of when I was going through a lot as a teenager, and I had a lot of trauma going off, following like an accident I had. But I remember getting on the treadmill, and I was I hadn't basically worked out before, so I was on this treadmill, and I found it hard to run. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? But over
mm,
time, I was jogging and running. But
mm,
that Do you know what I mean? Like you said, that 1% of what it goes back to is what made everything else, do you know what I mean, move forward in motion. But if I hadn't have done
Mm,
that, the rest
mm,
wouldn't have kind of, do you know what I mean, move forward.
mm,
And like you said, it's just those little things. And people, might think, oh, well, I'm just gonna go for a walk, and that's it. But yeah, but do you know what I mean? That forward momentum and you making the change can then
mm,
lead to other things. Okay, well, I've done that. Okay, well, I'll try this.
mm,
And I've said this. My girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? She started going to like these classes and stuff, and
mm,
previously she wasn't. And then
mm,
one thing can just lead on to another, and then you might get a new job. So I think people don't always think about that, but you can gain a lot of confidence just doing those little things. It's then, you know what I mean, like compound onto
mm.
other stuff, as you
Yeah.
said. I think, your platform's great, what you're doing, and people can dive in whenever they want. They can listen to your awesome material. They can pick up a meditation, listen to the audiobook. And, if they do that first thing in the morning, that's going to make a massive shift to their day, or or whenever they listen to it. It's going to give them that motivation to, to do something.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I have members on my platform who just look at night because they're too busy in the day. Some look at lunchtime. It doesn't matter. I'm I'm a big believer on just do something every day. Just do something. It'll compound. It will compound. But what you've got to do is think about there's two times in the day I think are really important, Adam, when it comes to mental well-being. When you wake up first thing in the morning, that first hour is really important, because that sets the day. And then before you go to bed, it's really important. Like I said, never watch the news. Don't sit there and watch the news and go to sleep, because what percentage of the news is positive? You know, I call it sleep hygiene. Before you go to bed, make sure, just read something nice, look at a picture, read a book that's good, feed your mind, watch a comedy, listen to music, and then drift into sleep. Wake up, do the same. But sleep is like the meat or the vegetables if you're vegetarian. It's in that sandwich. The bread is either side of sleep. So either side of sleep, you've got to buffer it. Otherwise, the subconscious mind is going to pick up on all the negative BS before you go to sleep. Like, never have an argument before you sleep. Never go to never go to sleep with stuff. So that's for me, it's a sleep sandwich. I'm really passionate about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good, analogy of it. And I think sleep is like that, and you have to be mindful, like you said, of what you look at in the morning. But I got up
Mm,
this morning, and my nan had the news on. I don't know, it's like a generational thing. She had the news on in the morning. I'm
yeah.
making a coffee. I'm like, chill. I can hear arguing, and I'm like, geez, like, really? Like, I was like, I'm not even sitting down in the living room. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be
yeah.
around that. So
Yeah.
you got to be aware of it. But I think a lot of it, is very tribal. I think we it comes down to like survival, like negative, and it's quite primal.
Mm,
It keep, being aware of threats keeps us alive. Do you know what I mean? So I think
mm,
that probably primitive part of our brain, people sometimes like to be tuned into that because it's, do you know what I mean? Gets into all that kind
mm.
of stuff. But yeah, you have to be mindful of what you listen to, what you read, and I think, what you watch, like you said, go into bed, read a book. Um, and I think, if you read something that's positive or something you can learn from, it's gonna
Mm.
help you. I think if you're learning as you're reading as well, it can be quite tiring. If you're tired, do you know what I mean? If you're taking in
Yes.
information, I mean,
Yes.
it helps you
Absolutely.
sleep.
I always think that learning something before I sleep, if I'm reading something, is really good. It has a soporific effect, so I just go to sleep. But I always remember when I was a kid growing up and listening and reading my school notes for exams, I could always remember the next morning what I read before I went to sleep, because your subconscious mind takes it all in. There's no stress, no pressure. I think if you can, a top tip is to read something new or interesting before you sleep. read it, and then you're more likely to retain the information than during the day when you're looking around and distracted, because your brain will not be focusing on that. So a podcast is a great thing to listen to before you sleep. Maybe somebody is listening to this before they sleep. Who knows?
Or one of your meditations. You never know.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
or meditations. Yeah, it's really cool, because at the end of the day, our brain, it wants to relax. It
Mm,
does. We don't let it.
yeah. No, it's
If,
being a tune.
if you're watching a crime movie or a thriller, which I love, but before you sleep, it puts you on edge.
Mm,
And if you're
yeah,
on, people have told me over the years that, I watched a thriller before I went to sleep, and I was lying there in bed by myself, and I heard a creak in the house. And, you think things, don't you?
yeah, yeah. It's never great. My dad, you know, my mum used to have a go at my dad because if I stayed at my dad's when I was a kid, he shouldn't have done this really. But I turned out okay. He put on like he'd watch like Most Haunted, the ghost
Yes,
program.
yes,
I'd
I've
watch Most
seen that.
Haunted as a kid at like 9 o'clock or something like that. And then his
Yeah.
partner, who he was with at the time, would sleepwalk. So I go to bed and I'd be like wide awake thinking there's a
Wow.
ghost. Is she going to sleepwalk in my room? So I'd have a couple of hours sleep as a kid. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like really like
Wow.
panicky and stuff. It's probably
Wow.
it's probably why I'm very aware now at night, but
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not
You're all right though.
advisable.
No, if you have a sleepwalk, God, that would scare me.
And one time she
It
did
doesn't me.
sleepwalk in my room, and that freaked me out as a kid.
It would freak me out. Yeah, with somebody just standing there in the dark,
Yeah,
looking at you, saying nothing.
it might have had some effect on me. I don't know. But yeah, no, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you sharing,
Oh,
like what you do, David. And
thank you.
no, you're welcome. And where can people find your content? Social media, LinkedIn, that sort of thing, YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. So Instagram, David_Rahman, LinkedIn, David Rahman, and then it's David-Rahman.com. Yeah. And yeah, if they're interested, join me on Hasina. There is a 14-day trial. They can join for free and have a look under the hood, because I would love more people now to join the community. And it's private, it's safe. That's the main thing. And you can learn. People are on there for different reasons, but generally they're on there because they want to become a better human being, a better version of themselves. And that's all we can ask for, really.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you spell Asina? How do you spell Asina for people to find it?
Hasina, Hasina is Hasina. Yeah, Hasina. So details are on my website, and they can just jump in and join, and then enjoy and just try different things, because
Mm,
some people might like the meditation, some people might like the courses. The courses are
mm,
audio and video, and some people might like the daily interaction when I'm posting on there different stuff. So it's all designed to get people to think and
mm,
feel differently.
mm,
If we, it's what we've talked about in this session, really. Monitor your thoughts and feelings, you'll change. Eventually, you
mm.
change. You can't help it.
Definitely.
It's like when you went to school, they ensured you will learn to read and write. You will
Mm,
learn to read and write. They ensured of it, but they had a specific process of doing it. You learn the alphabet first, and
yeah.
then words, sentences, paragraphs. There was a way of doing it. The same with anything. So I built Athena so that you can literally learn the alphabet of the mind, so that you change bit by bit.
Mm,
There's no magic formula, but there is a system. There's no magic bullet, no magic pill. There is a system which if you follow it, you'll learn. So you
mm.
have to unlearn all the shit that you
Yeah.
currently think is true. So that's how it works. It's worked for me.
No, it's awesome. No, I really think it's great what you're doing, David, and helping other people in your work. And, like the platform
Thank
you
you.
have is great that people have. And, I wish you continued success with it. And, I look forward to connecting with you again.
Oh, thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Cheers, guys. Cheers, David.
Cheers.
All the best.